all right.
Can you make my hair look like this?
Oh, man, what you want to make your hair look like that for?
See, that's the problem with y'all today. Y'all don't know nothing.
Will you let the man tee you off? You yap worse than 6 barbers.
Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Your Barber Podcast. I'm your host, Matt Ballot, a.k.a. Matty Blades on IG. Episode 16, guys. Episode 16. We're coming back from a week off. We just wanted to get caught up, so we should be on track, on pace, on schedule for the next month plus. I got a long week of podcast. I got 4-day weekend coming because I'm off Tuesday, Wednesdays, but going to be a lot of podding. So without further ado, I want to bring in someone who's another fellow podcast host of another barber podcast. So without further ado, let me give a warm welcome to Ammi Fields. Ammi, your barber.
Hey, it's good. I'm happy to be here. It's a wonderful opportunity. I love the intro, man. It's really cool. I like all the clips of barbering. I've seen all those, so it's like really awesome.
Right. They all resonate with us.
Yeah, they're awesome.
Yeah, man. Welcome in. Welcome in. Ammi Fields, Ammi Your Barber. It's only right on the Your Barber podcast, right?
No, I appreciate the opportunity as well.
So how you doing today, man?
I'm awesome, man. It's Sunday. It's raining, but I love the rain. It's a day off, Memorial Day off. Don't have to do the podcast tomorrow, which I love doing the podcast, but I have to drive quite a ways to get there. So having a day off feels good.
Right. You're located in Virginia, right?
Yes, I'm in Marion, Virginia. That's where my shop is. We do the podcast in Johnson City, Tennessee, which is about an hour and 15-minute drive from where I live.
Okay. So 2.5 hour round trip.
Yes, sir.
It's a commitment. Yeah, I got a feeling you got a lot of commitments, man. You're doing a lot. You're wearing a lot of hats.
everybody, I feel like everybody's busy in their adult life. I'm just doing a lot of stuff that I love. So
I was thinking about that the other day. I'm like, I feel like I'm finally in a sort of a moment, even though being a parent, it's never not, full throttle, but I finally have a moment to reflect a little bit.
Yeah.
It's been like a long, 10, 12 years for me. And I'm just finally like, all right, wow, that went quick.
How many children do you have?
I just have one child, one daughter. She's 4.
Holding it down.
Man. My wife and I always look at parents with multiple children like you do, and just like I don't know how they do.
It's not something to be admirable. You don't want to admire. It's not great. No, it's awesome. They're
yeah, man. Kids. It's a full-time job, man. You clock in at work, you get off, you clock back in.
Yeah. Then you got dogs, kids, wife, everybody wants attention. The barber balance is tough.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I appreciate what you guys are doing, though, with the Barber College Success podcast. It seems like you guys cater to the little guy, much like me. There's a lot of celebrity barber type of podcasts out there, and I love to invite on barbers of all walks of life and all levels of success, whether they're hopping out of school, just getting started, kind of more seasoned, or it's good you can kind of get their perspective on looking back of, the hurdles they've leaped and things like that. So it's always fun inviting on. And yeah, you guys are doing a similar thing. So when I came across your pod on all these lists, when I first started, I was like, let me look up real quick how many barber podcasts are out there. And I was like, Jesus, there's a lot more than I thought.
Are there a lot? I haven't checked myself. How many would you estimate?
I came across this list. It was like top 50 barber podcasts. I'm like, 50?
Oh, wow.
And your guys' was on there. So
where were we by chance? You probably asked.
Dude, you were in the top 5. It may have been like top 3.
Okay.
So
I read this article that said if you do more than 2 podcast episodes, that puts you in the top 60% of podcasts. And if you do more than 10, you're in the top 80% of podcasts. So just consistency is the most important thing.
Yeah, that's what everyone tells me. That's what just friends from back home, they're like, just keep going, man. Just keep consistent, because you always see these things just, sputter out at one point. And that's why this week I'm taking off a week to get caught up because I was sick of like putting the episode. I'm supposed to come out every Sunday.
Yeah.
That's normally when I record, but I do it a week ahead of time. And I feel like I was just like, if someone fell through, a guest or something, that's like I'm living week to week, and it's stressing me out.
That's a conversation we had as well.
Yeah. Would you guys? How's your guys' schedule kind of rocks?
We're going to start doing at least once a month, do 2 episodes, because me and Craig and Jordan, we always have things going on, and sometimes we just need a day off. And it is we've been doing it for almost 2 years now. Every Monday consistently. So, like I said, I drive 2.5 hours, all in one way, but or 2 each way collectively. And, just to kind of take some pressure off of us, but it's fun. We don't dislike what we do, but you do need some time off.
I'm trying to mitigate any kind of like pressure or stress in doing this because I enjoy it. So I feel like I'm going to do 4 this week. And I'm like,
that sounds pressureful.
This is good. Yeah, but on the other end of it, I'm going to be like, all right, I got a month here to edit these up and just kind of naturally let the guests come along and not have to like get desperate. Just start hitting everyone. I got my best friend doing a pod this week. Because I told him before, I'm like, dude, you got to come on because I'm running dry here.
It's good to get people's perspective from different occupations as well,
exactly.
Just to compare each other.
Yeah, I kind of got a way I'm going to paint it and introduce him because he's a good success story too. He's came a long way. And, I just want to share, that'll be a more people episode. Because at the beginning, I wanted to call this Your Barber as a Person. Just let people know, we're not talking about clippers all day. We're people. I haven't brought up clippers like all but maybe one time on this podcast.
That's a good thing.
Yeah. So I like to introduce the human aspect of it and just, the hurdles of life and just work and just keeping a level head and steady as she goes. So before I hop into your background a little bit, I always do sort of an icebreaker of sorts called Just an Observation, right?
Okay.
And so it's always just, a bit of an observation in the shop. Something I'm thinking while I'm in the middle of cutting hair or I might witness firsthand. And I got to go this time with client food recommendations.
Okay.
I'm newer to this city in Atlanta. I'm basically right on the dot a year in. I think we were in transit to Atlanta a year ago at this point. And I'm just like always, checking out the food spots. I'm like, chicken wings are in your face. I'm a big wing guy, but chicken wings are just everywhere you look here. Just it's a billboard, the best wings, top wings, US. Shit. So, I'm always, it's like the clients seem to contradict themselves.
Yeah.
Like, don't go to El Ponce. That's the worst Mexican food there is. And then someone else is like, yeah, I went to El Ponce last night. And it's just always.
That happens often.
Yeah, it's like the taco spot, the best taco spot. Where you get it? Oh, dude, you gotta wait on this truck. It's only on Tuesdays at 3:00 to 5:00. It's just like, how good is a taco?
I usually just if somebody tells me a place is bad, like, man, I really didn't like that place. That's usually the next place I go just to see for myself. Like, go ahead and clear the air with that.
Yeah, it's all to each his own normally, and it's like with tacos. I'm looking for the whole experience. I'm looking for good drinks. I'm looking for just solid across the board. If like I got to go to some industrial park and stand in gravel for a taco, I'm like, I'm not doing it.
I like the whole like truck, like multiple truck vibe. Like you can kind of go picnic table type deal. That's what I like.
If it's there for longer than 2 hours at a pop, you're just like it's here and gone so fast. You're like, I only got so much time in a day to
try to get to the truck.
Yeah, they're for barbacoa. So man. That's the thing. I just want to bring that up. Client food recommendations. They all got opinions on food. It's like, don't go there, man. Don't go there. But all right, man. So let's hop into Ammi Fields, Ammi Your Barber a little bit. Where does this journey start? Where were you born?
I was born in a place called Chilhowie, Virginia. Chilhowie is a Native American word that means Valley of Many Deer.
Okay.
Yeah, I grew up there my entire life. My father was from there. I grew up mixed race, which I feel like is important to my story. I usually try to put that in there. Um, just small town kid. I mean, at 400 kids in my high school, I was probably like, there was probably like five black people, and then like me being mixed. I was like a unicorn. So
Right.
and then also had the name Ammi, so like that just added to the weirdness and the mystique of me. So early
Yeah.
on in my life, um, I had to really center myself in being okay with who I am, and figuring out that like you know that I'm cool. Like me, I have to be cool for myself. Like I'm okay with being me, and it's a really hard time growing up, but I think
What age were you when you think you came at that to grips with that? Like, I'm okay with who I am. I'm cool with that.
well, seventh grade was really hard, middle school, and I tried to fit in with like try to hang out with the country kids, and that was immediately in my area. There was some kind of there's already a barrier there to a degree. Try to kick it with the emo skateboard kids. Uh, you know what I'm saying? They had some cool shoes.
Phases.
Yeah, there's some cool shoes, but that really wasn't my thing. So I was just like trying to rack my brain, like put myself in uncomfortable positions to fit in with people. Uh, and then I just got to the point to where like I'd rather just be me and do my own thing. And then, that's about ninth grade. So yeah,
Ninth grade. That's pretty early, dude.
yeah,
I definitely did. I definitely didn't know who the hell I was in ninth grade.
man. I mean, I don't. Everybody thinks that their childhood could have been better,
Yeah.
but I spent a lot
Everyone
of
likes
time.
to nitpick.
Yeah, I fought a lot, so I don't fight much anymore. So it's a lot of
Damn, you're
fighting,
a fighter.
unfortunately.
You seem like a nice dude, man. I don't think you'd be throwing any punches.
Not anymore, man. And then I worked corrections, which
Oh,
that
okay.
yeah, I wasn't built for that either. I just there was this almost this feeling of persecution that came with the job. Like you had to almost be a persecutor, and that just wasn't my thing. So
Yeah.
I kind of went against the grain. So it wasn't really fun, honestly.
Hell yeah, man. So how did you initially get exposed to barbering? Or when the clipper hit your hands maybe, but when did you start to experience a little bit?
So I my hair is curly now. I had no idea my hair was curly, but I used to just take a one guard and buzz my hair. My dad never took me to a barber shop. He always cut my hair, and
Yeah.
I was very comfortable with buzzing my hair down to pretty much stubble, and I did that my entire life, even up until I worked corrections, and I just got to be so miserable and depressed at that job, and I hated it, and I probably would have ended up doing anything, real estate or whatever, but I had a my wife's sister's husband was a barber, and he said that he would apprentice me. And I didn't think about it initially, and I thought about it for a long time before I actually decided to do it. But I really didn't start cutting hair until day one of apprenticeship when I was like 25, 26 years old.
Yeah, dude, that's right around when I started barber school actually. I believe I was 26 when I finally took the leap. I wanted to do it back when I was like 21, and there was just no clear path where I lived
Yeah,
unless you went to like beauty school and just leap through hurdles a different way.
yeah.
And which is what my barber did that I had on a couple episodes ago. He did that and kind of rocked out as a barber, but with his, cause license.
I think a
So
lot of the more successful barbers now in the industry started off with cosmetology licenses. They went ahead and got those coloring and long shear cut skills, and
yeah,
then the fade part was just came with it as well.
yeah. Like he had come up fading in his house and shit, and then I think he eventually got his barber license as well after.
Mhm.
But yeah, I'm sure he kind of had a wide, variety of skills doing it that way, like quick. So that's a useful way. So you mentioned corrections. What was some of your other like work experience you had going there?
My first job, I was what was called a courtesy clerk at a grocery store. I bag groceries and push buggies type deal.
That's what they
Uh,
call it.
Courtesy clerk, yeah. You
Okay.
can't call him a bagger anymore. It's not. I guess it's not PC or whatever.
Right. Yeah.
Uh,
Okay.
I worked at a restaurant for a long time. I love waiting tables. I feel like it's kind of like barbering. You're really selling yourself. because you can't control what the food looks like, and you can't control the environment. So you're really just kind of selling yourself with that. And I think that helped me quite a bit.
That's a good exposure to just putting yourself out there, just standing front and center and doing that.
And I still have people tell me.
What's that?
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I worked like banquet services, which was like, the expedited version of waiting. And like, if I ever had to do a true waiter scenario, it was like 3 options: chicken, beef, or veggie.
There you go.
The rest was buffet. Then I tried working at like a Joe's Crab Shack to try to get away from that. Dude, I lasted a day. I was like, dude, these guys are on a whole nother level.
You mean I got to know the whole menu?
Stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, dude, that's a good skill. Just even the memory aspect of that. Like, I'm sure you can recall a name faster because you built those early, brain paths, just remembering people's orders and little things like that.
Yeah, I still have people tell me that they remember me from being a server. Sometimes it happens. It's not as much now, but it has happened before recently. Especially
in the community. If you're in a smaller community,
Actually, the place I worked at is across the street from where my shop is.
No way.
Yeah.
So you've been scoping out this joint for a minute.
No, I actually just kind of fell in my lap. One thing, Mike and Taylor, he owns Tailor Made Barbershop. And I was asking him, I'm like, when should I open my own shop? And he's like, when the time comes, you'll know. It'll either be the perfect spot or the perfect moment. And it's really funny because all those things seem to happen at the same time. So,
man, that's awesome. We'll get into that here in a little bit. I want to talk about something. It kind of touched on what you just said, but go ahead and continue. So you waited tables a little bit. What else did you get into?
After the waiting tables, I met my wife and we were having our first child. So it was time to get a little more solid job. So I worked at a place called Utility Trailer, which is you build, if you see the tractor trailers on the interstate, what they pull behind them is what we built. We built refrigerated units, and that was like my first structured kind of job. And I didn't really like that because I felt in a box. I felt like I wanted to grow and I felt like I deserved to grow, but because of, the powers that be and the structure of the organization that I made myself an asset. I learned every job that I could in there, and which hurt me more than it did help me. I ended up being the only one working all the time, which was unfortunate.
Yeah, they take advantage of that. Like, hey, Ammi, you seem pretty good on the, whatever. What do you think about doing 7 things at one time?
That's what happened, man. That is exactly what happened, and I got tired of that, and because I just pulled it every which way and kind of strung along as far as promotion went. So I told them, they can have it. So I ended up going to work at a place called Corrections, Marion Correctional Treatment Center, which is a mental health institution for inmates in the state penitentiary of Virginia. I was very miserable and depressed at that place, but I made the most of it that I could while I was there. I took a ton of mental health classes, all the mental health training that I could, and a crisis intervention, things of that nature, which ultimately helped me in my barber career as well.
Absolutely. A lot of that could rub off on you and just learning certain coping mechanisms and just the ins and outs of a lot of mental health strategies, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So you got into barbering straight from corrections?
Yes, I did. After about 4 years. If I stayed 5 years, I would have had an investment in my retirement. They're like, you should stay 1 more year. I'm like, no, I'm good. I'm gone. Y'all keep it.
All right. How hard was that? Maybe even with like in your family, your wife, like, I remember when I first started my first job as a barber out of school, I worked at Amazon in like a warehouse, and it was a decent, solid job. It was like the most consistent job I had since I started barber school, because I was at barber school a good year and a half because I had bills to pay. I had just, I have a wife that's not from this country. We got to go visit family. We got to go over here, there. And it takes a while to chip away. But so like after I was done with school, I'm like, all right, it's time to get to work. And she's like, are you going to keep your job? I'm like, no.
This is the job.
You got to dive in, babe. I can't dip my foot in here and there. And, it's hard to make people understand sometimes that don't get how successful you can be in this business. Not to say that my wife didn't see the vision, but that security is hard to let go of sometimes once you're.
A lot of people are afraid to bet on themselves, and I had I was talking to a young lady at the coffee shop, and she's 17, and she was like, I was like, why don't you do real estate or something? And she's like, I want to make sure I get a solid paycheck. I don't want to, I was like, it's kind of like animals. Like you could be a baby bird and your mom could bring your food and give it to you in the nest, or you could be an eagle and just go catch that mug. Like, let's go get this fish out there.
Stop waiting around and just get
Yeah.
after it real quick.
Yeah, why not?
Right. That's fine, man. All right, brother. So let's move forward here. So you started, but so you went to school, or you were doing the apprenticeship thing?
I was a full-time apprentice.
So
which,
you went. That's a different path you can go, right?
in Virginia, you're able to do an apprenticeship. It's 2,000 hours. You're required to complete all the book work that you would do on Milady at any or whatever book they use at any other institution. You had to do online. So I did have to take the test and do the exams, the same that you would do in school, just without any help. There was no instructor or teacher there to kind of give it to me. These guys were all graduated from school and kind of dumped all that. This barbershop was one of your classic, walk in, $10 haircut barbershops. And this is where I got to grow at. And thankfully the owner was very open to me trying different things and, and doing different haircuts that might not necessarily have been time or cost effective at the time, but it made me a better barber.
Yeah, you kind of got to see the real life grind doing it that way.
Yes, sir.
And sometimes people, like when they finish their hours in barber school, they just hop in a shop without the license and kind of test run it. And then that's what I did. And it kind of made me a little more confident going into the test. I was like, oh shit, now I got something worthwhile. Once I pass this test, I know I can kind of do it. So that's cool though. You kind of went that path. I feel like you don't recommend that path though, right?
We don't, and Craig as well. Which Craig has a few schools, so of course he's going to say, "Hey, you go to school." But in reality, in all honesty, between us, we've spoken about it. That path is not the easiest path, because when it came to having the book work, like I said, I didn't have an instructor. You take chemistry and anatomy. If you've never done those things, those are difficult to learn for yourself, and as well as preparing yourself for the test, which is ultimately the most important test to get your license. And I didn't have that. I didn't have anybody to run it through. I really had to, and I tell people this, if it wasn't for COVID shutting down barbershops, I would just continue to cut hair, and that would have been my focus. But thankfully, that's how I ended up meeting Craig, was I needed help to prepare for my test. And the woman who owned the school previously to Craig owning in Bristol passed away. She was supposed to train me. She passed away a week before my test. And I was like, what am I going to do? And I knew I followed Crown Cuts Academy, Johnson City on Instagram. So I just shot them a DM and they got me ready for my test.
Right. For the audience, shout out to Craig Charles. He came on the Your Barber podcast earlier. He's the owner of Crown Cuts Academy, and he's had shops, and he's still thriving, moving forward, opening more academies. And he got the nail tech thing for his wife going, right?
Yeah, it's a nail school as well. So
nail school. That's awesome. Man.
Seven, supposed to be the next 7 years, supposed to be a huge increase in the trade of self-care. So he's hitting it hard.
Absolutely. That's how I crossed paths with you. I was like, let me see AMI coming on here.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, man. I got your IG pulled up right here. Let's dive in a little bit right here.
Oh man. Oh man.
Dude, look at the light right here. We're talking fuchsia.
That's
nice.
That's Ron White did that. The Common People Barber is his name.
Okay. So we got owner of Ammi's Barbershop. We got barber instructor, Crown Cuts Academy, Bristol. So how far away is that from your shop?
Bristol's about halfway between here and Johnson City. It's about 40 minute drive. Not too bad.
Okay. So what's your kind of split? That's one thing I want to talk to you about. I'm like, how do you, you're a dad, a husband, you own a shop, and you're instructing as well. So when does the instructing fit into your busy schedule?
Well, I'm going to start off and say I have a wonderful wife who is very understanding and supportive of my growth.
Huge.
That having her has been everything. She's really the one that pushed me to do the barber thing to begin with. So her being understanding and supportive of this and seeing the process has been that starts there, the foundation. And then I did the instructing. I did it 1 day a week. I did it every Tuesday. I did it from first it started off, it was like 8:30 to 3:30, and then it became one, I think, yeah, 1 to 9 is what I did. I was doing that every week up until I opened my shop, which is become once a month, and maybe even a little less now because of the priorities that I have. But I still enjoy teaching.
Nice. Okay. So you're focused on the shop. As you got here, some of your work,
Thank
little
you.
plain taper action, and you got the podcast rolling here, man.
You're quick with that, man. You're quick.
You're doing your thing. Nah, this is all pre-recorded. I'm just pressing play and pause.
Well, still respect the preparation is still amazing.
Yeah, no. So Barber Apprentice, there it is, $5.
Still
So
have that.
That was in the $10 shop.
Yeah. So when I first started, of course, being off the street, never cutting hair, it was difficult to convince clients to give me reps in the shop. So one tactic that we used was I would do $5 haircuts, and believe it or not, there's people that walk in there and say $5. Heck yeah, get in here.
Sign me up.
Yeah. 100%. So those poor victims were some of my first haircut attempts. But for $5, you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, why not?
I always I mess with our assistant every morning when I come down the stairs into the shop at my shop. I'm always like, because he's usually got his back turned, and then he turns around, "Hey sir, how you doing?" And when he's got his back turned, I'm like, "How much are haircuts in here?"
If I had $1.
Try to mess with them. It's a very high-end shop, so I just always walk in like, "Y'all do walk-ins?" He's like, fucking mad.
I'm sure he hears it all the time, even if it's just you.
Yeah. There was a character in there the other day that was causing a ruckus, but yeah, no, it's all good fun. You figure it out. So did you make $5 for the Apprentice? Did you make all of that, or you were just making tips at the apprenticeship level?
Initially, the $5 cuts was just me because it was few and far between. I didn't make very much money in the first
Of course.
7 or 8 months of my career. When I bumped up to $10, I had to pay 20% of whatever I made, excluding tips, to the shop owner, which was
Right.
$2 of every 10. So I mean, a little bit of passive income for him, but it's still, I might leave with $30 in a day. That would be a good day. So
Right.
enough to have some beer money, I guess.
Yeah. I was just thinking of barber school, like the shit I would talk, and like you saved up tips for 2 weeks. You're like, shit, I got $60 cash, son. I'm going to Safeway.
You know what I'm saying?
Red Bull.
We're going to Ruth Chris.
Right. Yeah, we got Ruth Chris. Now we made with the Krispy Kreme. The very best. Yeah, because it was like our barber school was in a strip mall, so we just pop out all the time, walk around the corner to Safeway, and just kind of, all right, should I do kombucha today? I'm doing well this week.
There you go. Balling.
Right? Barber Apprentice. Oh, man, those were the days. Just right there, I'm sure it was a little flashback of just, how far you've come. It's crazy, right?
Yeah, it's the journey, right? Not the destination. That's what it's all about.
Absolutely, man. So I'm hop into a couple questions here real quick. One thing, shifting gears, and then we'll kind of progress further through your career. Like I've been stressing about lately, is just taking care of myself. Just like making sure I don't set myself back to where it's going to affect my performance, because I'm like, things are going well right now, right? If things are going well, it's just like you're waiting for the other foot to drop. It's just like, what can go wrong here? So there was actually a barber that got in a motorcycle accident that was in our one of the top dogs at our shop, and I've spoken on her before, but yeah, it just made me realize I'm just like walking around here scared even more. I'm just like, you gotta be loose, but you definitely don't want to put your work in jeopardy. We actually had an insurance guy coming in for bodily injury insurance. we had them before come in, but the girl that got in the motorcycle accident, she was the only one that got it before.
Wow.
So our boss was like, well, maybe let's send them back in just in case you guys have a change of heart.
Yeah.
Plan start at $6 a month. I'm like, $6? Like, what's the payout? Like 200 if I want to get neck surgery or something? Like,
Yeah.
so what are your barber ailments? What are some things you've been going through that hamper you physically? Because I got a few.
Well, physically, I'm a bigger guy. Corrections, I went from 240. That's another thing that made me depressed in corrections. I went from 240 to 380 in corrections in the 4 years I worked
380
there.
from there. Oh yeah, dude, like
380. Just sit down, eat chips, watch people. That was my job. And so I've been getting up in the last 3 weeks. I've been getting up at 5 a.m., going to the gym, and actually taking it serious. Physically, I feel good. I'm healthy, other than being overweight. I don't really have a problem. I don't think there's this.
Just shedding the weight you did, dude. I mean, that's gonna feel amazing for your confidence, for just the state of mind every day.
I'm down to 300, which I feel good that I'm continuing. And we talk about health all the time on the podcast, but just like, becoming a barber, that's a journey, especially when you're that far, like away from what a norm would be. It takes a lot of commitment, but I've been doing really good here recently. But thankfully, I have good health. Insurance. My wife carries insurance for us, so it's not something not something I necessarily have to worry about at the moment. So
that's what I'm saying. I'm like, my wife has a good job. We all got insurance through her, but yeah, just the whole, like, if I want to get surgery and to just make up for not being able to work, it's crossed my mind to get that bodily injury.
$6 a month, man. That's
that's what I'm saying. I'm
even if it is $200, that's $200 you ain't have when you hurt.
Yeah, that'll hold down a day, I guess, but
pay the light bill.
Yeah, yeah, that'll pay for gas in a week. Dude, that's the other thing I discovered in this city. It's the most expensive city to insure your car.
Atlanta. Well, I can imagine why. I've been there several times.
When she said that, I was just like, fair enough. All right. Just like no argument. I was just like, because already exhausted all of the things I could shed or adjust. Because I used to sell insurance, which going back to just being depressed, and that was the last straw for me before I entered barbering. I was like, I'm done, dude. I'm done working jobs I hate. Like, I think I put on 20 pounds in like a month working there. Like,
that'll do it to you.
Yeah. And then my dad was sick. My dad was on his deathbed. He passed when I was working that job too. So it was just a lot of distracting myself, just keep going and shoveling Chinese food in my mouth constantly.
I lost my dad 2 years ago to COVID, and it's all good. It's going to happen to all of us, right? So, but I think that in itself has also helped my drive to be better at every aspect of my life as well.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, it definitely pushes you forward. I've been thinking a lot about my dad lately. Wife was trying to look for pictures of her grandparents and dug up all of my dad's stuff in the process. So I come home from work one day and I'm just like, what is my dad's guitar doing on the mantle right now? Oh,
hit you hard, didn't it?
Up all this stuff, dude.
My wife was doing the same thing the other day, and she pulled out a Bible that my dad left for me. And I was feeling really down that day, coincidentally. And in the front page of the Bible, it says, son, I love you. This was one of my most cherished possessions. I want you to have it. It helped me through hard times. I hope it helped you. And, shoot, you can't put a price on stuff like that.
Yeah, you can always refer back to that. And that's a streamlined connection to your father at any point in time, I'm sure.
Yes, sir.
So, yeah, like he wrote me a note like 2 days before he passed. He had my mother write the note, but it was in his words. And I was just like, it took me out for like 3 days.
Yeah, I was like, I know what you mean.
Yeah, I'm like, oh boy, but it still resonated with me and it still made sense. It was basically just like, be proud of how far you've come already. And I didn't even do shit to that point. I was like, that's when I started that insurance job. And I knew deep down I was going to become a barber. And my dad wasn't fully supportive of that. He just didn't understand. Like, he was born in 1949. Like, he just his idea of a barber is completely different from mine. But the basic message was just like never settle, just keep progressing, and just like that's what I've done. So just popping into a certain topic from there is mastering your situation, because talk about progression, any situation we hop into, I feel like you got to master it before you move to the next step.
100%.
People just want to hop steps, I feel like, in this industry. They're like, dude, I'm booked for a week. Let's raise those prices.
Yeah.
It's just like, well, wait a minute.
The first week you're booked for a week. You're raising
Yeah,
the price.
the first day they're booked. They're already trying to leap. And so, speak on that a little bit, just with like maybe in your situation, the levels you've went to. Like,
Yes.
so, yeah, go.
Well, so initially, for example, and I mean, it's always kind of been inside me. Like at the factory, when I worked at the factory, I'm like, I'm gonna learn everything I can, to be the best employee I can. As a waiter, I wanted to be the best waiter. I wanted people to request me. The same, I have always kept that attitude. And when I got into the barbershop, initially, I wanted to be. I remember sitting down with the person that was apprenticing me and the shop owner, and I asked them. I said, "What do you want from this? What is this? What is something?" And I was nobody at this point. So what do you want from this? What is your goal in this? And the shop owner said, I just want to make a little bit of money and take care of my family. That's cool. That sounds good. I respect that 100%. I want the same thing. I asked the guy that apprenticed me. He's like, I just want to be remembered as a good guy, a good barber. When people speak to my kids in the future, they say, hey, yeah, your dad cut my hair. Respect that 100%. I said, I want to be great. I want to be great. And that's just how I ended it. And I took that and I ran with it. I wanted to be, not that I compare myself to people, but I wanted to be the guy in the shop. I wanted to be the guy that got requested in the shop. And there was never like a point in time where I decided that I was that, but there was a resonating moment where I looked up and it seemed like everybody in the waiting room was waiting on me. And that made me feel good. But then it was like, okay, I've done that. Being the guy in the shop, what's next? And then it became, I met Craig and he gave me an opportunity to become an instructor. Okay, what all can I add to this? So I go become an instructor. I want to be the best instructor I could be. And seeing my students come out and be successful barbers and be booked out and putting out amazing cuts, that was great. Okay, so what's next? I got education. I'm a barber. I've made a name for myself in my area. I need to open a shop. Next level progression. So I mean, I haven't really set a goal for this at this point of having a shop, but I just continue to just try to be the best I could be wherever I'm at all times, no matter what it is.
Nice. So how many years are you in right now?
I think this is
professionally, I guess.
I'm trying to remember that myself. I want to say this is 4. I want to say
Okay.
this is
Nice.
maybe starting. This might be starting year 5, but 4 years completed, I would say.
Yeah, I'm around 5 years as well, right around that mark. So like 4 years, dude, you've done a lot. Like I guess the 4 or 5 year mark is sort of like okay, what's the next thing? But you've kind of did, okay, what's the next thing a couple times, it seems like, in that 4 years.
I do it all the time, man. I do it I get to a point to where, like I got to be, because the last shop I worked at 2 shops, one since that shop. And I got to be where I was booked out all the time. Like I had no time to move. And, I was making money and that's always cool. But money, I just got to where I felt stagnant. And I hate that. I hate that feeling. I don't like to feel stagnant. If I'm not continuously growing, even at the sacrifice of monetary things, then I feel like I'm not doing enough. I feel like I'm not doing enough at all. And I've kind of,
in terms of stagnant, like what would you say? What would you define that in your situation? What was going on?
I guess just being comfortable. Honestly,
You got
like just
comfortable, you were booked, you kind of plateaued at how much you could earn, maybe, and then
not.
just
I could have charged
happiness,
more.
maybe.
Well, no, I could have charged more. I just felt like I was doing the same thing every day. I was booked out and I was cutting hair and just kind of same thing every day, and I didn't have anything challenging me. I think is what I'm looking for. It's like I needed more of a challenge, and barbering made me hungry for that. Finally going through an apprenticeship and getting my license and accomplishing, learning how to cut hair well. I have this continual sense of wanting that all the time now. That once I feel like I'm just doing the same thing and just kind of grooving, then I feel like I gotta. What can I do to make this harder? How can I make this harder?
Do you have the same fear I have, is just of hating this? I never want to hate this, like, because I love this so much. I have the fear of like burning out. So that getting stagnant, like that kind of makes me think of that.
No, my fear, I don't have a fear of getting burnt out because I love what I do. I mean, I do understand that at some point it could feel like competitive, but my fear is, am I pushing too much? Am I wanting too much that I'm taking away from my family? That should I just take my foot off the gas and just be blessed to where I'm at right now and be stagnant? You know, that's kind of my fear. But thankfully, I keep getting put in situations to help grow this. And I kind of wrestle with that, and I really I'm very centrally focused on my family now at this period of my life, which this worked out. To do this podcast is a blessing, and I feel like I keep getting opportunities to grow without hindering my family. I've gotten to the point now in my career to where I have to say no a lot, and knowing and being okay with saying no. There for a long time, I feel like if I said no, I would miss out on an opportunity. But now I'm okay with telling people no, and I think that's important once you get to this part of your career.
Right. At one point, you know what's gonna, be hindering to just either your happiness, your family time, or just how you're feeling that day. It's like we don't got it every day sometimes. Sometimes, I fucking pulled my shoulder this morning during the workout. It's just like, dude, I can't do another cut today. Or even something that small, even. It could be an opportunity of something bigger even, and you're just like, my kids are in sports right now. I got a lot going on, like things like that. I heard you touch about your kids kind of getting into sports. So that's one of my, just like, I have this future anxiety about, because my daughter, she's 4, right? How old are your kids?
I have 5 children.
You have 5 children. I thought you had 2 kids. Jesus.
No, I have 5 children. I have a 15-year-old son, a 12-year-old daughter, an 8-year-old daughter, a 7-year-old son, and a 10-month-old baby. And I coach my 7-year-old son's little league team. They're in All-Stars right now. And the head coaches, I wasn't the head coach. I always try to be an assistant coach because there's times where I just can't make it. But I try to help as much as I can. The head coaches of the program are the All-Star coaches. But I mean, you get used to stuff, man. You just after a while,
inspiring, man. Just an absolute inspiration.
Well, I don't think it's inspiring. It might be borderline crazy, honestly.
Hey, man, there's a lot of crazy people that are pretty successful.
Maybe that's what it takes. You gotta
have a little crazy in there to pull it off sometimes.
But
so
no,
go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. I only coach. I coach basketball, rec basketball, and I coach little league baseball. I take football off. I've done football before, and I almost got in a fight with another coach. Not for my own sake, but I'll never coach football again. So just those 2 sports, and I take the fall off.
Just with my one daughter alone, I'm kind of approaching this like, because my wife doesn't drive, right? So I'm Mr. Momming it a lot. My wife is a college professor. She's writing a lot. She's at that phase of like, she's got to like pay her dues and get that tenure. And then once tenure happens, it'll loosen up a little bit more. But I'm driving everyone in and out of the city like every day. And when my daughter starts you got to be there at 8 a.m. school, it's gonna shock the system for us a little bit. And then once she gets into sports, it's gonna be another thing. And I can't imagine coaching, because that's another commitment where I know myself personally I could get into, because I'm a huge sports guy. I get competitive. I would probably, like in your shoes, want to fight another coach.
I didn't want to fight. He wanted to fight me, man. I was just there. He wanted to fight me.
Well, just like, especially if it's something with one of your kids or one of your kids' teammates, and you're just kind of defending a little bit, like just little stuff. Like I've refereed rec basketball as well and coached little kids of all ages. I've worked for kids for like 5 years. Yeah, I've seen all ends of it, and I get all that. But it's quite something to behold what you're doing. You laughed when I said my wife was a Spanish professor. Or a college professor? Is your wife a college professor?
My wife just got hired on at a college to be a nursing professor. That's why I was laughing.
That's great, man.
Yeah, she was working. And so this is how, and I don't know if you're spiritual at all, but in my life, God is a big part of my life, and as well as my wife's. And she was working at the Smith County Hospital, is the place that she works at. And she's a hospitalist. She's a nurse practitioner, so she basically does what a doctor does for about fourth of a pay.
Exactly.
And she was miserable. You know, it's a very stressful job. I feel like, in my opinion, from what I've seen, you got two kinds of doctors. You got doctors that look at a screen, kind of like barbers. You got barbers that look, you sit in the chair, they cut your hair, they send you out, they don't care about you, they don't care about anything. Or you got people that genuinely care about your life, your treatment, and you know, and in the medical field, that comes with a certain degree of stress because you want people to be healthy. You don't want people to get sick or die. And she was very stressed out. So she prayed. She's like, God, you know, I really don't want to work here. I need something else. Whatever you want to give me, I want to do it. So God, in all of his glory, came to her and it's like, I'll do what you want. So she went to work one day and they had a meeting with the nurse practitioners and they said, you got 90 days to get out because your job is getting terminated. So,
Wow.
so
Yeah.
she got a job as a professor at the local college recently. She's been hired. It's a university now, but she's been hired on.
Okay. That's great. So she's building in there too. So that's how long she been doing that?
She doesn't start until August, so it'll be a very new
So
thing.
this is gonna be very new. This is gonna be a
I might need to
transition for you guys.
might need to get your wife's opinion. You know, maybe link our wives so they can
Oh yeah.
get some.
Absolutely, dude. Yeah, it's been a long journey with my wife and my family and her work. That's why I've relocated so much. I've been a barber in 3 different states now, and every time I get knocked back to the beginning, it seems like it's easier every time. It's humbling. It makes me hungry every time because I was at a point in this small town of PA where I was like just ruler of the town. It felt like in like 3 years. Was
Yeah,
booked out like over a month ahead of time, and just like I just remember once I finally automated things and got online booking, I'm like, dude, I told you this is what I was talking about. I don't have anything. So I was like, yeah, that means I'm not available. But yeah, dude, it's a journey. So we're here now. So yeah, I thought I was juggling a lot. You're making me inspired to just like, because I'm sure you guys are gonna have some, you know, transitions and adjustments to make with your wife's new journey too. So that's awesome. I'm happy for you guys. And do you guys have any other help other than your wife? You have her
no.
parents or
Oh yeah, her parents are very helpful, and my mother. So it takes a village. This would not happen. You know, when we had our last child, I actually went to my parents and her parents, and I told them, you know, we would like to have another child, but we don't want to put too much on you, you know,
Yeah.
because you will be our source of help, you know, and they all agreed to it before we even decided to have another child, and I feel like that was fair. You know, some people just have kids and just expect, you know, somebody to take care of them, not them, but.
That's huge, dude. That's huge. Yeah, well, I mean, we were in Arizona, PA. PA, it seemed like my mother was 3 hours away from us when we lived in PA. So that was, you know, we could always fall back on that a little bit, but we don't have much help. So that's another reason why I'm so fearful. Like I'm like the motor to this family sometimes. Like if just my car goes down or something, like that's going to be catastrophic.
Yeah,
to our,
that's a tough way to look at. But I mean, for me, I have faith that everything will work out. But it also with the coaching thing, it's like in my mind, it's like if I don't coach, who's going to coach my kids? Like who is going to be the influence on my children?
right.
And I've seen some of these coaches, man. First of all, they don't know what they're talking about. And second of all, them dealing with children is just not great, you know. So I'd rather do it myself.
Yeah, that's my fear of starting my daughter in sports too. I'm gonna be like, man, I can do this. Let me get on the assistant staff at least. Let me get on
And
staff.
that's exactly what my friend, my best friend. He has a lot more time. He's former military, and you know he has a lot more time to be able to do these things. So I just help him out, you know, and we work great together.
Yeah, that's huge. That's probably what I would prefer to get into. Of course, I feel like a lot of parents feel that way. They don't want to dive in the whole way on the coaching stuff. But
Yeah.
yeah, I either want to do. I don't know. What would you recommend? Because I kind of want to get my daughter into basketball because I can actually
Basketball,
teach her that. I can
that's the
actually
easiest
help.
one.
Yeah, it's not as hard as people make it seem. Like there's a lot of things you could do, but you know,
5 kids on the court one time. I mean, Put the ball
Right.
in the hoop, kid. Like that's
Right.
it.
Just
7
put them
years
in a
old.
zone,
Yeah.
because they're going to want to chase the ball around everywhere.
But you're in
But
Atlanta, so they probably got some killers at 7 years old, and y'all's rec league.
that's what I'm saying. I've been trying to show my daughter, like, 2-year-old phenoms on the basketball court, and I'm like, this kid's 2, soul. You're
Yeah.
4. You should be running laps around this kid.
Should
But
definitely.
yeah, it always seems like soccer's the thing that everyone starts with, which,
That's
they get
easy
out
one.
there, run around, smack each other a couple times, collide, to kind of shake it off.
Ball
It's
falls in the
always
hoop.
good, though. Sports are important, I feel like, in developing your kids, because it's like you put that early, them on a stage and see how they react in front of people when they're watching. And I just feel like it's kind of paramount with getting over certain humps in your child's, mental space and everything.
Yeah, I think just giving them something to work for, anything to work for, and challenge them and putting them on the spot, which is why I love baseball, because baseball is a team sport until you're up to bat, and then it's like, hey, are you going to help the team or are you going to hurt the team? And
Right.
I there's other ways of development for those skills for children, but for me, that's what I used growing up, and I feel like it helped me, and I think it helped my children as well.
Yeah. And just kind of finishing up on just creating time for your family and things, like, I feel like now's the time I should kind of carve out more time, because my daughter's going to grow up at one point, as you've seen with your 15-year-old, your oldest, right?
Yes, sir.
So I'm sure you've seen, like, he's a lot more independent. He or she's a lot more independent now, and, doesn't need your help. So I feel like you can kind of just like get a second wind when you get to that point in your career and things like that.
Yeah.
And, you've kind of got levels of each age there to get through, but I'm sure it gets easier and easier every time, just like anything. And
No, my 15-year-old wrecked my Prius the other day, so it doesn't get easier. I'm sorry to tell you. There's no.
Yeah, you're gonna go through that. There's certain hurdles with independence too.
And when your kids finally get out of college or get a steady job, and then guess what they do? They have grandchildren that they need you to take care of. So you start all over again. You start all over again.
Stop it.
If you're waiting for easy to happen, it ain't gonna get here.
No, it ain't gonna get easier.
No.
But I'm just thinking second wind. Like, all right, I don't have to like worry about missing these like childhood memories where they're, where they actually love me.
No.
Things like that.
You just need to go ahead and get in David Goggins mode when it comes to children, because it's just no end.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's why you get up at 5. It makes everything else easier after that. Right?
And I will tell you, that is a life hack, man. Like getting up at 5 a.m. for me, I'll go, and it's like my time. I'll go to the gym and I'll get a good workout. I don't have to rush to get back. I get to work. I sit in the sauna for a little bit, good cold shower, and then like start my day like that.
Now we're talking.
Yeah.
Sauna and cold. Now you're talking my language, man.
Yeah, that's what I like. I just discovered it, and it's really made like before I had to force myself to go to the gym. Now it's been like I'm like, I don't want to miss it.
You have to do it.
Yeah, like Memorial Day's coming, gym's closed. I'm like, what am I going to do? Like,
yeah, I'm like pissy if I haven't worked out or haven't like achieved something early on in the day.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get my wife on board with like just getting up before an hour before she has to be somewhere.
Yeah.
I'm like, babe, how do you do that? Like that will just mess me up for the day.
My wife loves the bed.
What's that?
She loves to sleep. Like she is a
same
sleep lover.
My wife requires her 8 hours. I'm good on like 5.5, 6 sometimes, which piles up eventually. I had a day this week where I got up and then just went straight to the couch and slept for like 30 more minutes. And then I'm like, all right, now I can get into my, stretching, meditation, treadmill, the whole
random nap days help too. When you could just actually like, they don't come often, but when you get one, don't feel bad for it. You deserve it.
The other day I was just like, I just went in bed for a second. My wife's like, are you all right? you must not feel good, because it's rare where you just go get in the bed and take a nap. I was just like, yeah, just for a second.
just needed it.
Yeah, sometimes you doze off and you're just like looking at your phone and you're like, oh wow, I need to just get a couple of Z's in real quick. So let's get into being a barbershop owner real quick.
Okay.
So what was the progression there? Well, so you said you kind of stumbled into getting that location across from your old work, right?
Yeah, and the guy that apprenticed me, so back to my wife. Initially, I planned on going down the road a little bit to do it, maybe a location in Bristol or a location in Abingdon. And I expressed that to my wife, and my wife has been supportive of everything that I've done. Was hesitant. She was like, "I think that you should start closer." And out of respect for her, out this whole journey, she's been like, "Whatever you want to do, you know, you want to work with Confess Project, podcast, teach, whatever you want, you can do it." But when she said, "Hey, I think you should stay closer," I said, "Okay." You know, I listened to her. I respected her wishes. So I ended up opening a shop in my own town, which rubbed the guy that I was working with the wrong way. He was not very appreciative of that. He did not like that. And, you know, even though I gave him ample notice and expressed why I did what I did, it just hasn't resonated. But either way, you know, I make it happen. Started off.
End
I
of the
didn't have
day,
a,
you got to think about you, right?
yeah,
It's tough.
it sounds selfish. It sounds selfish, and it probably is selfish. But all we got is who. I mean, at the end of the day, it's just you. But I have a
Yeah.
family as well, so this was the best choice for my family. It had to happen either way, but
Yeah.
this is how it had to happen. So
Yeah, that it's just like being in traffic sometimes. Sometimes I look at the guy, you know, the fourth guy blocking the light at the intersection, like, dude, we're all assholes in this together. What made you think it was about you?
yeah,
And so, but at the end of the day, sometimes you got somewhere to be, you got a mission to accomplish, you got to make it about you. It's important. It's back to saying no. Sometimes you know what's going to put you over the edge. You've been doing this long enough to know the do's and don'ts of a lot of things. So, yes, speak about some of just like the early steps of owning your shop and just relearning things. You know, we're all learning continuously. I'm sure you learned a lot since becoming a shop owner.
there's a lot of paperwork with becoming a shop owner. That's the number one thing, like licensing, taxes, stuff that you don't even think about. You know, you think you get a building, put a chair in it, you can cut air. It's not really the case.
A lot of
Depending on,
snail mail and going to places, and it's like, why can't I do this online type
yeah,
stuff?
and sometimes those places are the worst. Like DPO, everybody I've talked to from DPOR has been wonderful, but the process of getting a license for a shop is ridiculous. It took 3 months. You know, it took 3 months to get a piece of paper. You know, like how come I can't just call you, give you my information, and we have, you know, but whatever. It takes time.
It's the same thing for your barber license, dude. Even though you guys are in the business of, you know, being a step in that, it's not a walk in the park.
No,
Especially transferring from out of state. You
I
know,
haven't done that.
oh, dude, it's a nightmare. Every board I've come across has been just, it's kind of the same story. Just an overwhelming amount of people, and 3 people are responsible for everyone in the state, it seems.
Yeah. Did you ever have to retake a test? Did they ever make you take their version of the test?
I did. And PA, I had just had to do, and I don't know if I just didn't do a good job of seeking out the information, but they didn't really give me a lot of help in knowing what I was going to be expecting. So I transferred to Arizona to Pennsylvania, and there was no reciprocity. So when I transferred to Georgia, there is reciprocity. So I just had to renew my Arizona license. I was ready to rock, which I thought. It took a whole damn month to get my license after buying our first home. So that was a bit of punch in the gut. But anyway, so PA, I was there when COVID happened. So if you have a license, even though you're not, you know, no reciprocity, they let you rock out on a temporary license until a certain point. But when COVID happened, that kept getting pushed and extended more and more. And so I'd been there for like 2 years working. And then I was like, it's time. I got to take my test. Right. So I'm like thinking it's going to be this 150 question test. I'm studying skin diseases again and stuff. And then I get in there and it's like a 30 question test on like state law.
Oh man.
Oh man. I just like, I don't know this stuff. I'm like, do I know this stuff? I know AZ law. I don't know PA law. So
yeah.
I failed it by 1 question because there's obviously a low threshold of getting, you know, a little room for error there. So I just went back the next week and aced it. It was one of those where they like stopped me before I could even finish it. And I was like, oh, this is good or bad? I don't know.
I failed my instructor's license by 1 question. And I went back and
dude.
changed too. So I live with that. Like, I ended up getting it, but I still live with that regret. Like, if I didn't go back and change anything, would I have passed it?
Oh, dude, just like the depression, that quick little blow right there after failing a test like that.
It hurt.
Just like you could tell looking at the person's face, hand you the paper, you're just like, this isn't good. This is not good.
No,
I was like,
it
hey, yeah, it's been a blast today. Oh. You just tell by their language, like, oh man. But yeah, I just went right back, and I just, you got a nice gust of wind under you after you pass a test like that. So
knocked it back out.
yeah. So so paperwork, I remember just people I've worked with here in Atlanta that have kind of progressed forward and got their own suite and things like that. Just them talking about some of the LLC stuff and other things like that. I'm just like, okay, this makes me never want to do this.
It's really not bad. I mean, as long as you have a structure for it. I mean, LLC, EIN, fictitious name, business license, tax ID.
Yeah, I heard you guys talking about fictitious name. Are you talking about it on a recent episode? And it's like, I didn't even know about that.
I didn't either until I went to I went to apply for my business license, and they asked if I had a fictitious name, and I'm like, what am I supposed to be, like the barber formerly known as Ammi or something like that? I didn't know what it was, but
what is that? Explain to the audience what that is.
A fictitious name?
Yeah.
And so whenever you create an LLC, it's not technically you. It's not you anymore. It's an entity. It's an entity that you have created to have a business under. Even though you own it, under the structure of an LLC, technically it's its own thing. So you need a fictitious name to put down what you would do business under as the business or whatever. It's strictly for.
So what'd you go with? AMI's Barbershop Enterprises or?
Mine's what did I put? I don't even remember. I just did it because I needed it. It's like once I get another shop, I'll probably get back up. I think it was Deer Valley.
It's not going to be like visible, really.
No,
right?
No,
okay.
It's just for the paperwork. It's not something that you have to hang up or anything. So.
Gotcha. So you can get kind of cool with it.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to get weird with it, get weird with it. I guess I don't know. I think mine's Deer Valley is what mine is. So nothing crazy. Just from Chihuahua, and it's Valley of Many Deer. So.
There you go. Okay, so that ties in. That's like an inside thing. A lot of people are like, "What's he talking about?"
Exactly. Just keep it simple.
Okay, so what? Obviously, when you start, so you're in your hometown, right? So you know a lot of these people.
It's not really it's actually the town over from my hometown. I do know a lot of people.
How far is that? Like, how far would someone from your hometown have to travel?
20 minutes,
That's not bad.
But not bad at all. It's country town. But I have people that drive from, hours away to get haircuts. So it's kind of like, if you're really doing the thing how you should be doing it, then it'll happen for you. It doesn't matter where you're at.
Okay, so what do you do when you're slow? Because obviously, start anything new, transition anything new, you're gonna have some downtime. Do you kind of strategize a little bit? Do you figure out ways to market?
I think whenever slow, thankfully, when I first opened up, I was a little slow in the transition, but I had so much to do shop wise that I just took that slow time and just either cleaned or painted or nailed stuff on the walls, whatever it was I needed to do. I was always productive. And then, if there's slow time, I can go to the bank, get this paperwork done, all the things that I need to get done. That's what I use that time for. I think the easiest way to not be slow in a shop is to join some kind of group. Just coaching Little League, you'd be surprised how many people
absolutely
want me to cut their kid's hair or see my son with a nice haircut. And they're like, oh, I heard you're a barber. Those things. Joining any kind of organization, group, or a class or something like that will go a long way as far as getting clientele in that regard.
That's an underrated networking opportunity that I'm sure organically happens. You don't really even have to be thirsty about it, really. They're just going to kind of come to you.
The thirst is real.
Right. It's like, damn, AMI is just poaching our kids with this barbershop. No, they reached out to you, I'm sure.
Yeah, when I coach, I don't even bring it up to them, but they'll approach me about it, and I'll cut them, So.
Yeah, it's an underrated thing though. So, okay, so you just stay busy. Yeah, there's plenty of improvements to make while you're slow and just take advantage of that.
You have
How
plenty of
long
time.
has it been since you've opened the shop?
The first of the year, January 1st, has been since
Okay, so you're not even a year in.
not even half a year
So,
in yet.
yeah, so yeah, you're still in the growth phase for sure. How many chairs you got in there, man?
I only have two. I've been very particular about letting people in. I haven't. My wife's wanted me to do it, but I know how much a bad employee can uh,
Oh
ruin
yeah.
a business. So right now I have a young guy. He's actually he's in high school. Believe it or not, he's wanted to cut hair since he was 12 years old. They have a trade school or what's the word I'm looking for?
Like a tech center.
Yeah, something like that. He's going there while he's in high school to get his
Yeah.
license. So he'll graduate with his license. He's going to cut here during the summer just to kind of do a little work study type program. But I don't really have a full time employee yet. It's just me at the moment, which has been good actually.
Yeah, no, there's no hurt in being selective and just making sure it's the right fit. I've always kind of struggled with that thought too. I was like, how would I fire someone? Like sometimes I'm too much of a nice guy, but at the same time, I feel like, just it would work itself out in a lot of ways. If someone knows they're not meant to be there and they're not meant to be there, it's just gonna, it's just gonna work itself out. You don't really have to be a drill sergeant in a lot of ways. But
Yeah.
have you ever struggled with that? Just thinking about like, well, of course you're being super selective, so you wouldn't even let that situation probably get to that.
I'm hoping that the hardest part about this is hiring, not so much. I'm making that the most difficult part for somebody to break through. I haven't even put out there that I have hired. I haven't had anything out saying that I want to take people in because I kind of enjoy being by myself to a degree. People seek me out. This kid, is very motivated. He's the quarterback of the high school football team.
Oh
You know,
yeah, the leader already.
yeah, at 12 years old, he decided I want to cut hair, and his parents bought him a barber chair for his house. So
Oh
uh,
wow.
just to give him a summer of experience is really all I'm doing. He's not even a full time employee. So, like I said, it's and when the time comes, just like I feel like the right person will show up. But I'm not going out here. And I heard Tyreek Jackson one time. I went to the OG Barber Conference, and he said you should hire who you can till you can get who you want. And I believe that's true too. But for me, I'd rather just right now it's extremely manageable by myself, and I feel like when it was time will come, I'll take somebody.
Yeah, I'd say that's how I would play it. Even just applying for jobs, people that like, put my resume at 17 different places. Dude, I could never. I could never.
I have other
I'm
people calling
focusing
you.
on one thing at a time. I'm gearing this interview for one job and one job only. If that doesn't work out, we're on to the next one. I can't do this like, I got, where you on ZipRecruiter? You may put your thing on
Indeed.
ZipRecruiter, and then you got all these people reaching out, and it's kind of just, I mean, have you tried doing that even? That could be a good thing. Maybe doing
that?
one of those job seeking sites, putting your shop on there.
No, I haven't even, like I said, I haven't even advertised at all to hire anybody. So, and
So
I'm
you're
not in a
fine.
hurry to do
Yeah.
so.
You're still in year one. I mean, I remember my first barber boss. That was kind of their thing. They're like, we took the blow for the first year. Now we're ready to kind of bring someone in, and now that the shop's getting a lot busier and things like that.
Yeah.
So there's another layer you could kind of think about.
And my shop is still in infancy. I mean, you got shops open 20 plus years,
course.
So I'm very okay with taking this first year slow, building a reputation to where I want it to be. And before I let somebody come in here and just, I'm all 5 stars on Google right now. I don't need a half a star. You know what I'm saying? I don't need none of
Yeah.
that right now.
So let's talk about once you are rolling and booming, the efficiency part, right? Because that's one thing that's going to get you good reviews and keep, prevent the negative reviews from coming in, which is a lot of like why I understand why, like our shop, it seems like a top tier shop that would, send you a cancellation fee if you don't show up. But we don't do that. And I know exactly why we don't do that, because bad reviews come streaming in, I'm sure, when, someone gets charged a no-show fee or anything like that. Whether it be an out-of-towner that has no effect on the future of your shop, but he can with that bad review. So yeah, just talk about just how you could be efficient once you are booming. What are some things that you're gonna? First of all, what are your hours that you're
Uh,
gonna do?
I work from 8:30 to 5:30, Tuesday through
Yeah,
Saturday. That's pretty standard for
pretty
me.
standard.
Yeah, nothing outrageous. I do after hour haircuts if I have the time to do it, and people ask me and they want to pay the fee. I charge double for after hours haircuts.
Yeah,
Um,
it's
if,
fair.
if efficiency wise, when people come in, I mean, I'm just going to hold them to a higher standard. I talked to a shop owner, he has multiple shops, and he said, you want to put people in a box. People like structure. They might not like structure, but they do like structure. Simply, I mean, I want people to feel like they have barber, right? Okay. It's a barber market right now. Barbers are in control. Barbers don't need shops. You can get a suite, pay half the price, put your booth rent towards that. You don't have to do that. You can cut from your house. You can travel and do haircuts. You don't necessarily need a shop right now if you're a booked out barber that gives good cuts. So I really want to create an environment to where I don't want to, you can have a really high booth rent and make a lot of money, but it's a lot easier if somebody to retain clientele if they have a modest booth rent and the environment is good. Uh, this is all speculation for me. I've spoken to other barbershop owners because I don't have an employee yet. So these are some of the strategies that I'm going to use to retain barbers and have good clientele. Also, the hiring process. I'm not just going to hire anybody. It's not going. You have to be. It's almost going to be an exclusive thing to want to work here because it's going to be beneficial for the barber to be here. Those are some of the things that I've thought about when bringing people in. I can't really speak on it too much because I officially can't say that I have barbers working for me. So
Yeah, yeah. A lot of big things is just like just automation. Like what kind of online booking do you
oh, excuse me.
do? Go ahead.
Square. I use Square.
Square's
Square.
great.
Yes,
That's what I've always used.
it saved me a lot of trouble because when I first tried to do appointments, I tried to book everybody with a book, and
Ah, yeah.
I felt married to that thing, dude. I might as well just got tatted on me because I had to have it all the time. And but
Yeah.
the Square booking system saves me so much trouble.
It's so simple. It's so simple set up. You got like 3 layers to it. You got the calendar, you got the client aspect of it. Like you got a database of clients with all their numbers and information, and you got payment processing all in one thing, and it's free for the most part.
I don't know. They get theirs.
Yeah, they get theirs with the processing for sure. That's what they bank on, 100%. They're like, hopefully this guy does the processing. We'll let him send out free reminders for a
Yeah.
little bit. But yeah, at the ownership level is probably a little different for sure. You can get into it. We'll kind of close out here, just going back to what your focus is on with your guys' podcast, and that's like coming out of school. Just I'm sure you've harped on it a lot, but well, what's some just like advice to someone that's maybe watching us right now that's curious on becoming a barber or just coming out of school right now, and just maybe they're afraid of that finish line. I was watching, I think your most recent episode where your guest like didn't take his test yet, and it's just like people are like delaying taking that test. Like I was so motivated when I got done with my hours. I was just like, I don't want to develop any rust.
Yeah.
Like, are you ever worried about that? Like, I've always been the guy. I show up to the gym to get like 100 shots up before. Like, I don't want to step in cold. So when
I'm a little
I
more.
had that month off moving here, I was like terrified, especially like going into the major league of barbershops that I'm in. I was like, we're charging this. Like, I got to be top, tip top Magoo in there. I got to be ready to rock. So,
Yeah. No, I'm very go with the flow kind of guy. Like I think everything's going to work out. But some people, a lot of people don't like that. They don't have. A lot of people think that it's kind of like why people don't become barbers. Like when you tell people, "Hey, you should be a barber," a lot of their first answer is like, "I don't want to mess anybody up." Typically, that's the answer that you get. You hear a lot of people say, "Hey, you should be a barber." No, I don't want to mess anybody like that. But you can't think like that. You have to dispel all doubt, and you can't live like that. If you are able to remove a lot of the doubts about yourself and just go with it and push with the flow, I'm a big anime guy. I love anime. There's this anime called One Piece. A guy named Luffy on there. He doesn't think about the bad. He just enjoys the moment for what it is, and that's what you should be. You should enjoy the moment. Even I do have anxiety, taking a test. I did have nervousness, but I embrace that. I love that. I miss that feeling. That's why I continually challenge myself. I have to feel that sweat again. Like I got to know what it's like to know, like, I don't know, just that shaking, am I going to be able to do it feeling? I love it. I'm addicted to it now, and I can't get stagnant anymore. And that's my advice to you listening, is like, this is just the first challenge. There's going to be more of them. This if you can't cross this bridge right now, go take the test, show up to school on time, then you're not going to be ready for the hurdles down the road as well. And there's no way to be successful if that's the case.
Right, no doubt. Yeah, I've always been someone that's like, even like when I sold insurance, my boss, I drove him crazy because he was just like, just get on the phone, just start calling. I'm like, no, I need an exit strategy. I need if there's a roadblock, I need a way out.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've always kind of been just like a prep guy. This podcast, I prep a little bit. I probably maybe come off a little more prepared than I actually am. But yeah, I like to go with the flow in a lot of ways. I'm trying to adopt that thinking more and more. But yeah, I create a lot of like roadblocks in my brain. I'm like, yeah, but what if this? What if that? But, I would like to do that more. There's nothing worse than that. Like, you're just not ready to rock that day. You're coming in that first haircut and you're lining up someone's mustache with the razor. You just got a little tremble. You're like, I knew I shouldn't have fucking drank that coffee. I should have stuck to my normal. What am I thinking? Like, so yeah, I like to be just consistent in my whole like state every day. And I feel like people appreciate that. And that's some advice I would give. Just stay steady as she goes. Life's going to throw a lot of distractions at you, but one best way to deal with the distractions is barbering. And just, the more you remove the distractions that you can avoid, that you can help, it's going to improve your performance day in and day out in this industry.
Yes, sir.
So, yeah, man. So anything you want to promote? What's next? What are some of today's anxieties you have? Like, you go through anxiety, whether it's in life or in your professional career. What's some anxieties you handle now, you wrestle with?
Am I growing fast enough? And I think that's an anxiety that barbers carry throughout their entire career. It's like, am I doing everything as quickly as I can? Like I right now I have a shop in Marion. I want to open another shop already. Like I already got in my mind to where I want to put another shop. So it's like, but at the same time, it's like, just be in the moment, be in the moment, be in the moment, be in the moment. So I'm constantly wrestling with am I not doing enough? Am I doing too much? Like
be present. Be present. Yeah. I'm trying to be present. Yeah. You have a great mentor in Craig Charles with all of he's done in his time. So I'm sure you see that success and you're like, let me see how I can do in this too. And
I think the most inspirational thing about Craig is he's just doing it because he wants to do it. It's not even about the success. And I think that's the number one thing I'm taking away from him. It's like you could like take a step back and I've never like looked at it like that, but and he's always reminded me, he's like, Ammi, you're a traveling educator, you're a mental health advocate, you're a master barber, and he lists all the things out because I just don't take a step back and look at everything that I've done to this point. And he has to constantly remind me. But Craig, the coolest thing, and I'll tell you this about Craig. Craig started his own festival in Johnson City, in the city that he lives in. And all he did was say, I love reggae. I like to drink wine.
Oh, I see that promoted a lot on your guys' stuff.
Yeah, and he just made, and it started off as like maybe 20 people showed up, and then the next year it's like 100 people show up, and I'm wholeheartly going to believe that at some point it's going to be thousands of people showing up at this thing, and it all started just because he wanted to do it. So if there's something you love and want to do, just do it, and it doesn't, and maybe one person shows up, but next time you do it, maybe 3 people show up, but don't do it because you're looking, do it because you want to do it because you enjoy something.
Right. At this point, you gotta, especially someone like him that's been in it. He's doing it for the love. He's doing it for the community, to share the knowledge. And yeah, I just appreciate the guys. the love you've shown for my podcast and just my platform, and just been really, reciprocated well. Me reaching out to you guys and just wanting to have you on, and
we gotta get you on our Barber College Success. We gotta get you on there soon.
Absolutely, man. Have me on anytime. I got, I run my yap a lot.
There you go.
I had, I'm sure it's been a little different for you being on this end of like, sort of an interview of sorts. Like you're usually the one, spreading the good word there.
Well, I do. If anything makes me uncomfortable, it's like talking about myself, because
a lot of barbers feel that way. I feel like
I don't really like to talk about myself. I really don't, because I don't want to push across any kind of notion that I'm not the same person as anybody else. I mean, I went through the same growth, fears, anxiety, everything that you went through. I went through the same thing, and I know some barbers try to portray like they didn't, but it's inevitable. If you went through this industry and started off as a nobody to a barber, you've had to go through the same levels of growth.
Yeah, that's part of the goal of this podcast, to just shed more light on that. And it's just like, listen, I'm an idiot. I couldn't pass math in high school.
There you
go. So like, I'm showing you can be successful in a lot of ways doing this.
Yes, sir. Sorry, I just got a phone call. I apologize.
You're good, man. We're closing out. So you want to promote the shop a little bit in the pod? Just let it know what days it's open, where it's located, all these things.
Yes, sir. Barber College Success comes out every Friday. You can check it out iTunes, podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, anywhere where there's podcasts, you'll find it. Ammi's Barbershop and Gallery, located in Marion, Virginia. Feel free to stop by. Just visit if you want. You can book with me on my Instagram if you'd like a haircut. And if you ever have any questions, I am more than willing to help you, talk to you, shout you out, whatever it is you want. I'm here to help you. And I'm happy to be on this, and I'm glad that there's another podcast out here making an impact on the industry. And I'm blessed to be able to meet you and be on here today.
Hell yeah, man. I'm blessed that you guys have came into my life at this capacity, and just the love you've shown. I really appreciate it. You guys have been helpful and just, inspiring me, and just, you're right in line with what I want to do for the little guy and the whole mental health aspect of everything. And just, we're doing it out here, man. We're in these pod streets. I'm trying to be, at least.
You are doing it. You are doing it.
Yeah, man. I'm doing it. I appreciate that, man.
Yes, sir.
Well, Ammi, we'll close out real quick. Thanks for coming on the Your Barber podcast. Another episode completed. Appreciate you, my dog.
Thank you, sir.
Take it easy. Thanks for watching another episode of the Your Barber podcast. New episodes come out weekly on Sunday. Be sure to subscribe on YouTube and follow us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify to be notified when new content is posted. Thanks, and we'll see you next time.